Hey everybody, it's Mike with Monkey Fab. I'm sure you hear that. My neighbor has decided that he's a lumberjack. We got a box of goodies in of stuff for the Pahonix. First I thought that at O'Reilly's, I got an oil filter. Hopefully this one fits. I've been through like 3 of them, but I got the one for the F body, which is the same as the pan, which should fit, right? Then I delved into my most uncomfortable place in the world, and that is wiring stuff. So I bought a bunch of wiring stuff because you always seem to run out of these female like butt connectors. I don't know why. You buy the kits, right? And you use all the shit in it, like the eyelets and the butt connectors, but all the other shit stays, the spades and whatever else. When I say butt connectors, I meant these little round ring guys. What are they called? Ring connectors? They're called ring terminals. Look at that. And a garment to go around my wiring harness, because the one they sent, they tell you to cut like X size hole, and I did. So I think that's needed to pass through all the terminals and the bulkiness of it. But the garment really wasn't sufficient. It's not big enough, wide enough. The inside looks okay, but the outside, it just keeps falling out of that hole. They told me to cut the holes off. So I'm gonna try this guy and maybe, throw some sealant around it or whatever you gotta do to make it work, right? We got a high performance accessories, something, it doesn't really say, but basically it is a 1 in and 3 out breaker. And we got big old fuses for the 1 in 3 out breaker. I think that came together as a package. We got not just one, where's it at? But 2 NPT 1/8 NPT 27. So you can get 27 and 28. 28 is like the odd, almost like a metric. I think it's called BSTF, I want to say off the top of my head, but I'm probably completely wrong. But it's the 27 pitch that you want for all your little fittings. Speaking of which, we got fittings for our steam port that we already did in the pipe. And we got relays. So I've and it's funny, it's like a 30-50 app. And it depends on how you wire it. So it's either you throw the thing and it goes from on to off, or you throw the thing and it goes from off to on. And it depends on how you wire it. And I understand how a relay works. I understand that it's basically just a magnetic switch in there that changes, makes a low voltage input and pushes it over to high, feed wire basically. But I always have to look at what I'm trying to do when I do these, because I always forget. So, and like I said, wiring's my nemesis. So I got this huge amount. I think it's like 24 feet of, what is it? 4 gauge. What I'm gonna do with this 4 gauge wire is I'm gonna make a little, like a Happel battery distribution center kind of next to my battery. So again, I'll only have 1 post for the battery, for the ground, 1 post for the positive, and I'll go to like basically a distribution post where I'll send it to the alternator, to the starter, and to the back. So I'll have tons of power to the back because I have the ability to put 3 fuel pumps back there, and I'm only running 1. But when it comes to fuel pumps, it's like feed it. So I want to give it clean amps, a clean signal from the battery, basically right to the battery / alternator, right to the fuel pump, so there's no issues, because dips in voltage output is something that is gonna basically kill. It can kill motors, and why fuck around, you know? 20 bucks worth of stuff or 40 bucks worth of stuff, you know, to feed the pumps and know that you're always going to have that constant power right there when you need it. I think that's a good idea. And if I ever sell the car, then, you know, a youngster can buy it and put in their amps and speakers and stuff, because I doubt that I'll go much more than the AM FM radio that's already in there. But that way you have power up front and in the back. So I'm waiting on the power distribution thing for the front to put that in, and that's about it for the wiring parts. And lastly, I got those cool little furlins for my 5/8 line. So basically, you'll see like this guy drops down. You got a compression nut. So you got a compression nut, and it just drops in here. You put the compression nut over your line, and then this guy goes on it, and then this guy goes on it, and as you snug it down, it compresses your line and the nut, and it makes a nice little tight seal. So I'll run hard line basically up to the turbo, and I'll probably run just like a little bit of you know, regular AM line, just to give a little bit of flexibility for vibrations and whatnot. We left off at the putting the fuel stuff in. So we got the intake manifold, we got the 80 Siemens Deca injectors, and that's about it. So we all have, you know, things that we're just not comfortable doing, and you know, that's what makes part of it fun, is, you know, just facing those things that you don't like to do, and getting through it and having that sense of accomplishment. So for me, it's definitely wiring. I think we're going to pick up today. I'm going to try to finish off the fuel system. I'm going to go ahead and double check all the fittings, make sure that we got them actually snug down nice and tight, because that's kind of been a theme. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish off the front. So we're going to plumb the dash 10 line into the fuel rail, and we're going to put the return on. We're just going to use the stock feed, the 3/8 line that was in the vehicle, and I got some good hose that's built just for fuel, and we'll hook that up as a return, and then we might start cracking on the wiring. I don't know, but stay tuned and check it out. You can come along, you can follow along. You can follow along in our little adventure with me and my neighbor Paul Bunyan. Yeah. I thought I tightened that already. So that means the front one is probably loose too, since those were all loose, of course. And our front one is... oh yeah, you can't see it. Look at that. Look at that, huh? On there, so yeah, that's tight. Okay, cool. So, you probably just saw nothing but the back of my head, but we got this guy snug down. That's good. I actually want to push it kind of more that way, so it's not as close to the headers. Okay. All right. And the stock fuel line. Let's see, easiest way to get this. So this is the back of the car. So on the tank itself, there's a hard line, and it comes over to here where there is a little rubber line, and then it goes back to hard line again. And there's two. You see there's a thick one and a thin one. So the one on the top's a little bit thicker than the one on the bottom, and the bottom one is just a vent tube. So they both kind of do the same thing. They both go up to the front of the car. The vent tube just goes to a charcoal can, while the the bigger one obviously goes to the fuel pump. So it comes down onto the rail and it loops back and it starts going forward. Now here they split, and one goes on the driver's side and the other one goes on the passenger side. So the main one goes down the passenger side and it zooms around all the way up to the front, close to where I have my line running, and then where it meets the fuel rail, the front subframe, it again has some rubber, then it goes back to metal. The metal comes up around the inside on the frame rail to the front right here. So that's where that one used to spit out, because in the front of the old Chevy small blocks, everyone knows, of course, that's where the mechanical fuel pump used to go. So it's kind of funny if you think about, like, from the old way it was set up, it was literally pumping. And if you know about pumps are much better at pushing than they are at pulling. So it was basically pulling fuel all the way. You know, this car's like, I'd probably say like 320 feet long, something like that. So it was pulling the fuel all the way up to the front of the car and then pushing it to the carburetor, which is no small feat. So it comes here, and again, this is rubber line. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to kind of sit and think about this for a second. I'm not sure if I'm gonna push it to the back and then just have it go right to this guy over here, kind of skipping the rail, which probably be the smartest way to do it, because there's no need to bring that all the way up to the front. You see my thinking process? This is how my brain works. It's a scary thing. So I think we'll do that. We're going to replace these rubber lines though, because they're old and nasty. And we're going to take those off and replace these lines with some good stuff. Let's go see what the good stuff is. Do you wonder, like, what the good stuff is? What is the good stuff? I wonder sometimes. Product placement. Oh, it's great. Look at this. Sorry. Yeah, I'm a welder guy, you know. A welder, fabricator. I'm like a novice fabricator, pretty decent welder. I like to brag sometimes on my welding. When I got stuff in the shop to show you, I like to show you. So I got this cheap Chinese positioner off of eBay, and I'm not terribly proud of it. And it's actually horrible. It goes either too fast or it doesn't turn. So if you're, if you need to weld at like 12 inches a second or so, then it's perfect. But if you need to weld, at a normal welding rate, especially for TIG wires, then it's not the greatest in the world. But I was playing around with it. And the cool thing about the positioner is that you don't get the stops and starts that you do in the, if you have to do it manually and stop every, 10 or 12 dabs and turn it. So this is like my third time with this guy, third or fourth time. So I'm starting to kind of get it, but I just like to not brag or boast, but kind of show off what I do. What do you think about that Dabosaurus? My buddy Dabs Wellington did this for me, and it's pretty cool. Dabwell. He's a really good welder. And he also did the American flag for me because, I'm all about some America. America. All right, so here's what we got is... Doesn't really tell us much, does it? You got 25 feet of hose. Oh, okay. Look, we got all kinds of information here. So it is fuel line, spool, 3/8 inner diameter, 25 feet, blah, 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 blah. So this is specifically fuel line, which is good because that's what we're using it for. All right. So on the breather, what I'll do is, I think I'm gonna keep it. I'm obviously not gonna keep the charcoal box, although I do have it over there. I think I'll probably just fab up some kind of fancy little aluminum box, because if you're pumping fuel out of the tank and displacing volume, then you have to replace volume, right? Because if you don't, then you're gonna get into kind of a vacuum type situation, and then you'll have vapor lock. 8, so I'm gonna do 8 1/4. How is it 2 different sizes? The same fucking kit. All right. There we go. All right, so you got breather and fuel replaced, number 1. Let's go on to the next one. All right. So that takes. I looked at the other side of the vent line, and it's just all solid line all the way up to the front under the hood. So that replaces our rubber, our old 40-year-old rubber. At the soft parts, except up at the front. So now we just gotta, I think we'll drop it down and kind of take a look at what we need as far as the fuel feed and the fuel return. Ugh. We have a rule in my garage. I will leave spiders be, and they can live a nice pleasant existence if they choose to do so, as long as I don't see them. But if I see them, they are dead. Here is my fuel line, so it needs to go to here. So I think that, let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we got this guy here, and that is an AN8 on the back of it. So this guy adapts from -10 to AN8. We know that 3/8 is 0.375, 375 thou. So we'll check this to see what we're at. So this guy is just a hair. It's like almost 400 thou. So it's a little bit more. I would guess that if it wasn't anodized, sometimes anodizing can kind of stick to and kind of increase the thickness. So it's 5 thou under 400 thou, so maybe it was drilled to that. There seems to be plenty of meat in it, so I would assume that, you know, if you wanted to, you could drill that guy out probably significantly. Yeah, I'd probably say you could probably take 100 thou out of that and get to a 1/2 inch, you know, damn near a 1/2 inch line, all the way to the fuel rail if you want to. But none of that really matters, because unless you mess with the fuel rail is on the outside, it's less than 3/8. So I'm going to guess that on the inside, what are we? A 1/4 inch. So the inside of this line, and it's pinched in places and whatnot, is a 1/4 inch inner diameter. Because you know you make pretty good power on 3/8, but you know that's another 1/8 of an inch smaller. If my math is serving me right, than 3/8 going into the stock truck fuel rails. So I don't know. For I'm shooting for, you know, somewhere between 500 to 600 horsepower, so that's plenty for me. But I think that if we were going to get crazy, like we got the fuel to do, then we might. Did I fuck this up? You fucked it up. You got it. Goddamn female to female. Man, I hope I ordered that right part. I can't remember if I did or not because it's been so long. Ow. Let me check. So I think I don't need this piece. I got this piece, which screws into here. So, but it doesn't really bottom out. Huh, that's kind of scary. It should go all the way down and seal on the face, and it feels kind of like it doesn't. So, that's fucking stupid. God. This guy does or does not. This one's doing the same thing. That sucks. Let's try some sorcery. Let's see what we can do. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right? Right. If I had a lathe, I'd throw this guy boop in the lathe, and then I would just take and surface this down, because this guy here is bottoming out before this, and that's not how it's supposed to work. This guy is supposed to bury itself into the back of that, and there should be a little bit of a gap. That way you get the positive seal. That's why there are 37-degree flares, if I'm not mistaken. But we do have a drill press. I don't know if the arbor's gonna... Let's see what we got. And just try it and see what happens. Man, it's been so long since I've used this. I don't know. There it is. This is basically become a table. Hopefully I got a huge arbor on this thing. I don't know. Okay, come on, baby. Just fit, and it doesn't fit. God damn it, man. That's such a pain in the ass. We can get even more ghetto. I'm all about ghetto. If we gotta get ghetto, we can get ghetto. Remember this weld positioner I told you it goes way too fast? It's got a chuck. It's got a chuck. And that might be all we need. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Pretty legit. Just to bottom out and then... This is taking fucking forever, man. And we'll say it almost one more time, just so it doesn't sound bad, right? Like, how long are them sausages, Tommy? 2 minutes. Two minutes, Mickey. All right, we're finally there. I think we're finally there. Let me hit it with the sander. Hit it with the sander-danda. Is there a sanding disc on this? There is. Is it kind of flat? It's kind of flat. So that only took like an hour, right? Like, why does this shit take so long? How come this shit always takes so long? Mike? Okay. So that was... So, I bought this shit on eBay. I probably should have reached out to my buddy Varen. I hate bugging him though. It's funny, we develop these bad habits like eBay. And it comes to bite us in the ass. So maybe if I went all with the same supplier to get this stuff, it might have worked better. I thought I did. But I don't know. I can't say that for certain. But you can see the nut that's left on that, because this guy was just bottoming out and it wasn't hitting the flare. So we got to hit that flare or else we won't get a seal. So now we got a little bit of a gap in there, so when we tighten it, it'll goop on top of there. So I'm going to probably have to use that 10 and just kind of screw this into the other one. There's not going to be a good amount of metal on that to work with. You guys like my lathe? It's pretty cool, huh? I guess you'd call that a mini lathe. So we're working over now. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good angle. So hopefully this guy will go in and actually bottom. Yes, okay, so that's a win. So this guy will go into there and everybody's going to be happy, but we need some of these guys to go on now. And I'll put this guy on now. Yes. And we'll just snug it down good and tight. And we'll throw this guy on. Hopefully it fits. It would be nice for you to fit. So all this crap in the way. So here's the vacuum tube for my transmission. It's a TH350. And if you know what the fuck I'm supposed to do with this, I would appreciate you commenting below. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to hook it up to right now it's just completely in the way and not doing us any good. So is this vacuum goddamn line? So let's try it right now. And come on. I know you want to go in there, or are you in there? I guess you're in there, huh? Yeah? Okay, cool. This is going that way. This guy in. You want to go behind or front? What do you want? You can go in front. You're kind of naturally wanting to do that anyway, so that's what we'll do with you. And we'll put this guy in here. And that is our brake booster line. Alright. It is sitting in there freely, so that's good. The original plan was to kind of loop this around like this, so that looks like it's good. I just want to wait till I get everything in. I'm sorry, you can't see what I'm doing over now. So this guy is going to kind of loop around the front of this guy, and I'll kind of zip tie it in place once we get everything kind of sorted out. But for now, I'm just going to leave it be. But we got fuel too. Now we got to do the return. Our return line is coming off down here. So I think what we could do is, since that one just shoots back, we can kind of just trace this line here, and then I can run my flex fuel sensor on this fender. So this is a heater tank. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Alaska. That's why there's an electric cord dangling off the front of my car, in case anyone was wanted. But if you live in the Great North, these things would keep your engine from freezing up when it dropped down to those stupid, insane temperatures. So I'll just mount it right here on the fender, and then loop it down there, and it'll kind of zoom underneath the battery box, and that'll work. I'll grab you off the tripod here so you can see what it is I'm yammering on about. So we got our fuel feed there going on. So the bottom one, since we got a regulator on this guy already, the bottom one just kind of goes the same way. I'm thinking we'll just run that fuel hose that I have, the 3/8 up along this. We'll run it down this fender well here. Let me zoom out a little bit. So we'll just run along there. We'll branch off on the fender well here. We can put the flex fuel sensor, and we can just loop back down to the return, which is that right there. And that should go well, I believe. So this guy is the one we made for our steam vent return. And Yes, it seems to work. Slide that guy down. It's got a weird wobble in it. The bottom of these guys like cast. It doesn't even look like they've cut the thread, so hopefully it's got a taper in it like it's supposed to. If not, we'll know as soon as we energize that with some pressure. So now I just gotta get a line to go to my steam vent, and we gotta get this fuel line taken care of. I'm not really sure. I'd like to use a column shifter, and it's all hooked up, and I'm working the exhaust around that. But I don't know anything about automatic transmissions. I've always been a manual guy, which is simple. You have a clutch and a disc and a pressure plate and a gear selector. So I mean, it's pretty hard to screw that up. So I got kick down cable, and I got this vacuum port. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do to make it all work. And if you know what to do and you're feeling kind and you're not like, you should search the internet and figure it out, which I can do. But it would be nice if someone smart out there knows and says, just do X, Y, and Z. I think that I can do an extension on this guy. I can easily make a bracket right here by the fuel holder and just do an extension on this guy. So, and put a plate on the throttle body to make it actually function. So like when you go to full throttle, this thing pulls. But I also heard Matt say that using using the actual kick down thing like screws the trannies up. I don't know why that is. And I don't know on the vacuum port if once we get into boost, because I'm not sure, I think we're probably going to be at like 15 PSI, hopefully to get to my goals. What that does, do I need to put a check valve in there so it can only recognize vacuum or lack of vacuum, but not positive pressure? I don't know. But if you're feeling helpful, if you're feeling friendly, you want to help an old half-retarded guy out, then that would be cool. I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so we don't need this. I'm gonna stick it over here before I lose it in the engine bay forever. So we got this guy, and we're here, and we're gonna loop that to there, go down there, and back to where we at now. So that is more than enough. Alright, where did you go? You are here. And I would like you to go the same as the fuel, except on the bottom. Good, okay. We got these water lines and shit. All this stuff is just bullshit. So my lumberjack neighbor's back. Lumberjacking. He does a lot of jacking. That guy. Okay. So I kind of cleaned everything up. We got our fuel lines ran, both the to and the return. So that's good. And I'm just going to throw a hose on the steam vent here. So all I got is some silicone hose that's in the size that I need. So I hope that's going to be tough enough. I guess we'll find out when it blows either up or off, right? got all the old hoses replaced, which is a good thing. And we got fuel going to the engine now and fuel returning with, like I said, all new hoses. And we replaced well, we made a return for our steam vents and got the stuff installed for that, and it is in place. So I think that the next thing we're going to mess with is the throttle cable, because I don't have it attached underneath the pedal inside at all, and it really doesn't lend itself to it. So it is like the complete opposite of what I need. So we're gonna have to figure out something to make that work. But I'm starving, so I think we're gonna stop here for now, and I'm gonna grab something to eat. Yes. So, thanks for dropping by and watching the video. Be sure to check out my shop at monkeyfabgarage.com. You can always pick up a Monkey Fab t-shirt. I sell them super cheap, they're only $10, so I only make like a couple bucks off of them profit. I just appreciate you guys ordering them and supporting Monkey Fab. So if you want one of those, they come in, I have several colors in different sizes, green, blue, red, orange, pink, military green. I might have those colors in your size or not, I don't know, but the more you guys buy, the more I'll stock up in all different colors and sizes. So check it out. Go ahead on over to monkeyfabgarage.com if you want to order one. I'd appreciate it, but don't feel obligated to, because I don't live and die by them. I just enjoy knowing that people are out there, liking what I do and representing the Monkey Fab brand. So let's go get some chow.